Welcome back to our record keeping series. Today we're going to talk about journals and keeping track of some of our learning experiences through our projects. This is an important part of our record keeping for FFA and our supervised agricultural experience, because then we can look back and see where we've come from and where we're headed and where we're at currently. So let's take a look at this real quick. Dashboard, we've seen this before. Pretty straightforward. We're getting into our journal today. I'm going to take you over to the Project Experience Manager first thing though. So I'm going to click here. And you can see some differences from the last time that we were in the Experience Manager. Our 2024 County Fair Steer project, the one that we've been kind of using as our example, has some entries in here now, right? And it has changed this line to white instead of the red highlighted. And so we've also got the green check marks on the plan, green check mark on the budget. These over here with the red X's, again, these are reporting and reviewing type things. And so they happen at the end of the project or the end of the year. So these are fine where they're at right now. A couple of things that I want to point out here were our financial entries. In our last video, we put 9 financial entries in. Since then, I've added a couple of journal entries just to kind of see where we're at and what we've got going on. And so that's showing up here, but I'm going to demonstrate how to add those today and get them where we need to be. So let's roll in with that. You can click on the Journal tab up here. That's always going to be a link from just about any page in this record book website, the AET. Or we can get back to the dashboard again, and there's your journal on this tile right here. So click on one of those, comes up to the journal page, and we've got a couple of tiles. First, with our editing and reviewing options, we can see our project manager to go back to where we just came from to see each of the projects. Also, you can review any journal entries that you've made. You can sort them by year and by type and some of that kind of thing, so you can narrow them down to go find them. Adding journal entries, there's 5 options: community service, career preparation, classroom learning, FFA activities. So all of these are things that we can keep records on and should keep records on as we're doing things within our FFA experience and agricultural education experience. But today our journal entries are going to land in this area in AET projects, or your supervised agricultural experience. So we're going to click on this link, brings up our journal entry page, fairly similar looking to a lot of the other things we've been adding as we've gone along here. We're going to choose our date, choose the project that it links to. We're going to choose the Steer project again. And I'm going to skip over this one for a second. Any activity that you record, you're going to show how much time you've spent working on that particular activity you're journaling about. Now, there are some options here. You might journal about a specific activity, right? Maybe you want to journal about the time you took your steer to the tagging at the county fairgrounds. So you've loaded it up, you hauled it to the county fairgrounds, they tagged its ear, and then you hauled it back home, and that took an hour and a half. So let's say 1 hour and 30 minutes. And you can type in the description box that we tagged my steer. Steers, probably. You had an alternate. I think we had that originally, right? And you could record the tag numbers here. Tag number 25 and 26, right? Not realistic for us. The numbers aren't that easy, but you get the gist. That could be an entry right there as far as the description in your journal. Now, pictures, it says they're optional down here, but I think it's important on an event like this. You should be taking a picture of that event. If it, it's just a general, let's keep track of my time journal entry, which we'll talk about in just a second. You might not add a picture every single time. But when you do a specific activity, you weigh your steer, or you take it to get tagged, or you're headed to the county fair for weigh-ins. You took it to the vet and you want to have a specific journal of entry about that experience. Snap some pictures, and you can upload as many as you want. Pretty simple to drop these in. If I click the select button, it'll bring up our dialog box here. I don't have a lot of pictures to choose from, but I can find an image like this one of the northern lights that were happening a while back, and now that's linked to this journal entry. Right now it doesn't show that image other than just the file, but when you come back in and review your entries, it will show a little thumbnail of that image so you can see what you attached to it. Next thing, there were two things. One I skipped up here, as well as the one down here at the bottom under supervision. So the supervision little drop-down box here is to link this to a advisor or a supervisor, specifically an ag teacher or your FFA advisor. So we've got a handful to choose from. If one of us was present during this activity, you can click on that advisor's name. If there were multiple, choose your favorite. That doesn't matter really which one you choose if we were all there. But choose one. If one of us was there, you can make that selection pretty easily. Most activities, I'm going to say, aren't going to have an FFA advisor present, so you'll probably leave it as none or unsupervised. At tagging, I was definitely there. Well, actually, I can't say that. Depending on which day you were there, might have been a different FFA advisor, and that's fine. So somebody was probably there during a tagging, and you can enter that in there. The other activities that you might do, maybe you took it to the vet one day or something like that, or the vet came to visit to look at something, we're probably not going to be there. So leave it as none or unsupervised in that situation, and that's fine. So last but not least is this skill area, and you might remember skill areas from our preparation video where we had to add a skill area to our plan. We added 3 of them actually, and so when we click on this button, it's going to bring us up to that same skill area type of selection page, and it defaults to our plan. The things that we selected in our plan are highlighted here. Were we accomplishing one of these things through this activity, right? Getting an animal tagged, maybe we're demonstrating management techniques to ensure animal welfare. Potentially tagging an animal would be management techniques, right, to ensure the animal's welfare so we can keep track of them, or we can, organize the things we're doing based on a tag number and know which animals got medicines and so on and so forth. So that could be added here. The nice thing about this is we can add other things too. I don't think our tagging situation has anything to do with nutritional decisions or needs, but if we go back into our animal systems, we can go find some of these animal systems specific skills and add a different one that might fit our program. If you don't find any that really fit what you feel like is going on, then you do not have to select another one, and that is fine. So it brings us to this skill area selection page, and in this case, tagging an animal, being able to identify that animal, probably demonstrates management technique to ensure that animal's welfare, so that we can keep track of it, and be able to make records to know which animals received medicines and some of those kind of things. Maybe not so difficult to do when you've got a pen of 2 steers, but tagging animals is definitely something that producers do along those lines so that they can keep track of animal welfare. So we could add that one. If you've got another one here that fits, you're welcome to add more than one. If the nutritional needs, which we selected in our plan, don't really make sense to add for tagging, don't select those. You can go choose something else here. You can always come back in and select the Animal Systems tab or any of these others and find something else that fits with the activity that you are journaling about at the time. For us, we'll leave it with that one for now and call that good. We can hit save and back to the journal entry. Now we've got this added in. Our photo disappeared. I guess we can't leave the page without hitting save. So we're going to go find that photo again, add this in. I guess we need to follow the order and go work our way down to the bottom. Added the photo, hit save, and now we've got a journal entry in here. We can go back and review that. You can see a couple that I've already made. Remember, it showed that there were 2 entries, and then our most recent was this from July 12th. That's the day I'm making this video. And we can go back in and edit if you felt like something was wrong. Oh, I meant to put 25 and 27 instead of, we could fix that tag number or whatever by edit. There's that image, right? I told you the thumbnail would show up when you come back in to review your entry. And if you feel like this entry shouldn't have been made, you're always able to delete the entry and you can make your fix or whatever it needs to be. So looks good for me. I'm just going to cancel because we're not making any changes, and there it all is. We can see our time added up here. We had an hour and a half in that project or in that journal entry and 1 skill in that journal entry. Now you can see a big one down here. We got a 12-hour entry. Let's talk about that for just a second. In the situation where I'm just going about my daily routine, I don't have any big event happening. It's important to keep track of the hours we're working on this project so we can see what we're actually putting in and getting back out of it, right? We want to kind of understand what the value is here. So these records are pretty important. So this type of journal entry is my weekly activities is kind of what I put in there, and we can add more things and make a more elaborate journal entry to show what those weekly activities are. But on a regular basis, you should be putting in a weekly or every other week journal entry to record some of those mundane daily things rather than doing a daily entry saying, I fed my steer and I watered my steer and I walked my steer. Okay, you don't need to do that every day. You can put that in as an entry at the end of the week, maybe on a Sunday afternoon. And you can pull open your record book and enter 1 journal entry for the week to record this kind of thing. So again, we're going to choose our county fair steer, choosing a career area. In this case, on feeding, we're talking nutrition, so let's choose that one. Did I make any nutrition decisions? Maybe, maybe not. But we've got something added there. So our skill area is linked there. The amount of hours, I'm going to think back on the week. How many hours did I work on my project throughout this week, on specific daily routine kind of activities? Not the big event, because we already recorded that, but everything else. Watering, walking, feeding, working hair, whatever you guys are doing with your steers or other animals, how much time are you putting in? In that other entry, I put 12 hours, maybe 15 is more realistic for the week, or whatever it might be. You can kind of keep track of that somewhere if you want to, but put in a weekly entry to show that. In this case, right, the last one I just wrote weekly activities, but you could type in I worked hair on this day, I washed this day. You can lay that out so we understand where you've been doing things and what happened during that week. And that would be an effective way to make this journal entry. Again, a picture. Maybe you add one to this entry, maybe you don't. Just depends on kind of what you've had going on for the week. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. because again, it says pictures are optional. Pictures are a very valuable tool in our record book. But if we're adding them to our events and the other things we're doing, you're probably not going to need to worry about adding pictures to your weekly activity entries. It'd be a good idea to show a picture of you walking your steer or working hair or washing at some point, but you don't need to do it every time you make this journal entry. Again, our supervision drop down is here for the week. At home, you probably didn't have someone there supervising you doing this as far as an FFA advice goes, so leave it as none or unsupervised and click the save button. Again, we can go back and look at that in reviewing the journal entries and see that we added a fourth right up here at the top. It didn't come in right at the top because for whatever reason it sorts it differently. Maybe it's because it has more hours, but it's the same day, so it's still right up here at the top. And we can see that weekly activities entry with 15 hours in our one skill area. So that's entering journal entries on your project. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. There are some other things that can enter entries, but that's where we're going to stop for today. We are going to come back and look at making these entries on your phone. I think that type of a journal entry warrants a separate video, though, so this one doesn't get too long and elaborate. But that's where we're going to stop with making journal entries about the things you're doing with your SAE project. We got one more video to make for this series, which is a submission kind of instruction, how to submit your finished record book. And then, like I say, I want to add a video, kind of tag it on towards the end of things in our playlist with using your phone to make some of these entries, because it's a little bit different than bringing it up on a desktop or a laptop computer. But I think a pretty valuable tool while you're out working on your project. So thanks for joining me. Come back for the next one. Go look at the other ones if you need to. They are fairly long, so skip around and make the best out of them. Make them work for you. Okay? Good luck.